Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell me, what are you looking forward to? What makes a bang-off party for you?
I have to say, some good alcohol, some good drinks, good food. We hung out. Nice to see you. Good night. Thank you, Sean.
People have not forgotten what happened. The event's promoter, 22-year-old Sean Puffy Combs, for failing to adequately alert student organizers to the need for strong security and crowd control. Since then, Combs has maintained a low profile in the press, which he feels has wrongly portrayed him.
I'm saying if you're a gangster, sell the ranch, grandma, grandpa, the chickens, everything. If you're going out with bullets and gun smoke, don't just stop with yours.
You can't give Diddy credit for being a genius and a mogul on one aspect of his life, but then say he doesn't know any better when it comes to stuff like violence. That man knows plenty better. He knows.
Almost 25 years since an infamous nightclub shooting during a night out with Sean Diddy Combs and his then girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez.
It was just a big media circus, you know what I'm saying? It was real scary for me. I didn't know how to defend myself or something. I never been put in that position, and I was just trying.
Hours a day, and I feel as a young black man, if anything I put my mind to, I could do.
Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, PD, Love, Brother Love. Now Combs, inmate number 37452-054 of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. He's had many names during muscle and moxie to enter the upper echelons of New York society, becoming the embodiment of the American dream, becoming one of the most powerful and influential people in hip-hop and the global music industry. With his money, power, and connections, he lived an entrepreneurial and philanthropist lifestyle, investing in businesses outside of music, opening schools, giving underprivileged children the opportunities he never had. He championed and nurtured new talent and stood up for his African-American brothers and sisters. But was it all a distraction? On July 2nd, 2025, Combs was convicted on 2 lesser counts of transportation to engage in prostitution in a 5-count federal RICO case. This is an undeniable victory for Combs, but a major loss for the prosecutors and the accusers who hoped they would see justice served. Combs is proof with enough money and celebrity status, you can beat anything, even the US federal government. With concrete evidence of the violence he was capable of in the CCTV recording of him beating his ex-partner, Cassie Ventura, in the Beverly Hills Hotel in 2016, and the onslaught of accusations he's faced during his 30-year tenure in the music industry. Sean Diddy Combs faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution in his sentencing in October 2025.
Hey there, I'm Hallie, and tonight we are starting with that dramatic situation happening as we speak in both LA and Miami Beach.
Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami mansions raided by SWAT teams. His sons, Justin and King, in handcuffs in their own yard.
Combs has faced multiple lawsuits in recent months with allegations of sexual assault and sex trafficking, accusations he has denied.
For the first time since federal agents raided 2 of Sean Diddy Combs' homes, we're hearing from his attorney.
The racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, aka the RICO Act, is a US federal law that was established in 1970 and signed into law by then-President Richard Nixon. Throughout the 70s and 80s, it was used to crack down on and seize the assets of the mafia and other organized criminal organizations. RICO was successful in dismantling the leadership, operations, and income of organized crime in America. Those faced with RICO charges can be charged with bribery, embezzlement, money laundering, and drug trafficking. RICO relates to federal crimes where large sums of money are moved for self-gain or used to sustain a criminal organization. In short, the US government is attempting to portray Combs' record label, Bad Boy Records, as a criminal organization, with Combs as its godfather.
My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
On March 25, 2024, Homeland Security carried out a simultaneous raid of Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami. 96 electronic devices were seized, along with several firearms, including 3 AR-15s. These weapons had their serial numbers scratched off and were illegally modified, also known as ghost guns. Homeland Security also seized a variety of controlled substances: MDMA, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, oxy, meth, and most notoriously, 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, creating numerous online memes with sayings such as "No Diddy" becoming part of the cultural zeitgeist. This risks downplaying the grievous nature of the allegations against Combs, and this could play in his favor. The raid on Combs' properties was the culmination of a firestorm of lawsuits filed against him, with accusations including sexual assault, coercion, rape, sex trafficking, domestic abuse, drug possession. The list goes on, painting a picture of Combs which transcends predatory and becomes pathological behavior. The charges as stated in the government's indictment is as follows. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy. Count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion to victim 1. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution to victim 1 and commercial sex workers. Count 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion to victim 2. Count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution to victim 2 and commercial sex workers.
Federal government is very deliberate in when they bring criminal charges. And for them to be executing this warrant now, I imagine this investigation has been going on for months or longer. And they usually do not indict someone, especially someone of this kind of public magnitude, without having all their ducks already lined up. So I imagine it is very serious.
The US government wanted to prove that Combs used his various businesses and connections within the music industry to conceal his nefarious conduct, hiring sex workers, transporting them across state lines to engage in sex acts with him and others who may have been drugged and were therefore unable to give informed consent. Those that did not consent were allegedly forced by threats and coercion to fulfill Combs' sexual fantasy. The government charged that Bad Boy Records acted as a criminal organization and that the team around Combs catered to his needs, allegedly procuring and carrying narcotics for Combs' use, hiring sex workers, and organizing elaborate sex parties, referred to by Combs as freak-offs.
I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call 1.
The raid came following 2 major lawsuits that were filed against Combs by former girlfriend Cassie Ventura and record producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. Ventura filed her case in late 2023, a accusing Combs of rape, physical abuse, coercion, and forcing her to take part in his freak-offs. The case was settled out of court, and Ventura was awarded $20 million in damages. Ventura's bravery in coming out against Combs opened the floodgates of allegations and other lawsuits from several Jane Does, who have had similar, traumatic experiences of Combs' sadistic, sexual deviancy. Rodney Jones was hired as a producer for Combs' 2023 album titled Love, living and working closely with Combs for 13 months. He alleges he was exposed to the darkest sides of Combs' behavior.
I can't go for that, so I'm fighting back. He's a fighter, but I'm gonna put in this fight. I gotta do it for myself, my rights, and most importantly, my kids. Taking my publishing.
Jones recalls several examples where there were sex workers, drugs, and extreme violence around the recording studio and house they lived in. In April 2024, just a month after the raid on Combs' properties, his legal team questioned the legitimacy of Jones's claims, bringing up his own troubled history with the criminal justice system and questioning the practices of Jones's counsel and arguing that the lawsuit presumes Combs' guilt without legitimate proof of the allegations. Most of Jones's accusations were dismissed by the judge presiding over the case. On February 3, 2024, Jones posted a video to his Instagram of Combs in the studio laughing as an unnamed associate of Combs speaks on Jones and his publishing disputes. Jones wrote in the caption, "I took a year straight off to do work on this album, and I'm definitely not being showed love."
I run shit here, nigga. You feel me? I run shit.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Little Rod ain't worth giving his kingdom to if we don't control his publishing. I can solve his efforts with 3 other human beings. He's eating at our table, and I like his backstory, but you need to have other people. It's hard to work with him unless we have his bug. He's a piece of shit human, but we do not need his talent unless...
Even with Jones's lawsuit being dismissed, a constant that runs through all these allegations against Combs involves intoxication, violent outbursts, and threatening behavior. Allegations that date back to the beginning of his career. The US government had a vested interest in publicly bringing Combs down on federal RICO charges and believed they had their case made. However, Combs remained consistent in his proclamations of innocence throughout the trial and the other accusations that he has faced throughout his career. This indictment and trial of the US government versus Combs became a spectacle, for better or worse.
With a life sentence on the line, Sean Diddy Combs has hired a high-profile team of defense lawyers.
Half a dozen well-known and high-profile lawyers in his corner for this trial, as the music mogul faces the potential of life in prison.
The music mogul assembled an all-star defense team, referring to them as the Dream Team, each bringing a wealth of experience, family connections, and a track record of defending similar clients that could prove pivotal in his case. There are 6 major players in Combs' defense team. Leading Combs' defense is Mark Agnifilo, a seasoned trial attorney with a reputation for navigating complex legal waters, who has previously represented several major and controversial figures in the last decade, including Keith Raniere, founder of NXIVM, a sex cult masked as a now-defunct company. Raniere was sentenced to 120 years in jail after being found guilty of forming a sex cult, in which female members were branded with his initials and kept in line by extortion, threats, and violence. The pharma bro, Martin Shkreli, who raised the cost of Daraprim across the US from $17.50 to $750, a medication used mainly by people with HIV and autoimmune diseases. Shkreli was sentenced to 7 years in prison for securities fraud and conspiracy. Goldman Sachs banker Roger Ng, who was sentenced to 10 years for his alleged role in a money laundering and bribery operation that involved paying more than $1.6 billion in cash to hundreds of government officials. Agnifilo has previously worked as a federal and state prosecutor, trying over 200 cases throughout his 3-decade legal career. His wife, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, is defending Luigi Mangione, the suspect in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, creating an extraordinary connection between these two high-profile, era-defining cases.
He's ready, he's focused. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Wherever he is, his resolve is the same. He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
Next is Tenny Geragos, whose pedigree is unmistakable. She is the daughter of the renowned Mark Geragos, known for representing high-profile figures like O.J. Simpson, Hunter Biden, and Michael Jackson. Her familiarity with media scrutiny and high-stakes legal battles positioned her as a formidable asset in Diddy's defense, as she brought both innovation and tradition to the table.
I also have been saying this since the beginning of this case. Sean Combs has not sexually assaulted anybody. I've been saying this for months. We've said it with each lawsuit that came out, and today that was proven true. The media got it wrong about Sean Combs every single day for nearly 2 years. I ask that for every time you guys see a civil lawsuit, criminal complaints or criminal indictments, you actually take a look and analyze these and see whether or not these are actually going to stand up in a court of law, because today they did not.
Next, we have Alexandra Shapiro, whose pedigree is equally impressive. Another scion of Californian legal aristocracy, she is the daughter of Robert Shapiro, famed for defending icons such as Johnny Carson and the Kardashian family.
Really said all there is to say, but I do want to thank Sean for the privilege of this opportunity to help him clear his name. After all, with the Southern District coming after him, guns blazing, it really is a testament to the fact that when you get a fair trial and a jury of your peers listens to the evidence, they will do the right thing.
Next is Brian Steele, a defense attorney noted for his recent success in securing probation for Young Thug on multiple RICO charges. He is accompanied by Nicole Westmoreland, who also worked with Steele on Young Thug's defense. She is a survivor of sexual assault when she was 19. Their combined understanding of the nuances involved in RICO cases and Westmoreland's own lived experience could be a game changer for Combs and the overall defense strategy.
Of my family, myself, I wish to thank you all for being here and writing truthfully about a man wrongly charged with most of the crimes. And that we all must remember that allegations are nothing. And I'd like to thank Sean for letting me be here. Thank you all, guys.
In building this defense team, the financial implications are eye-watering. Combs is estimated to be paying around $100,000 per day for his defense, along with a $1 million retainer for lead attorney Agnifilo and his firm. The total cost of this all-star defense team could range from an astonishing $7 million to $10 million. This investment highlights not only the seriousness of the charges against him, but also Combs' commitment to fighting for his freedom and reputation. On the 12th of May 2025, the jury and alternates were chosen for the trial after a long deliberation between the prosecution and defense, the latter's main concern being the racial diversity of the jurors and alternates, to ensure that Combs was given a fair hearing without his race playing a factor. The jurors were 8 men and 4 women, with 6 alternates on standby, all being a variety of ages and backgrounds. They were selected after extensive questions from both the prosecution and defense. The judge reining the case, Arun Subramanian, frequently highlighted the need of selecting a fair and impartial jury. And after the selection period, the jury was finalized and the opening statements began. The prosecution opened with Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson taking the floor and addressing the jury. She laid out the foundations of the government's argument. Johnson said, Combs had an inner circle of bodyguards and high-ranking employees who helped him commit crimes and helped him cover them up. For 20 years, the defendant, with the help of his trusted inner circle, committed crime after crime. That's why we are here today. That's what this case is about. For the defense, Tenny Geragos was the first to speak to the jury, giving the defense's rebuttal towards the charges from the government. Geragos said, "We are telling you right now that he is physical, that he is a drug user. And I'm telling you, he had a bit of a different sex life. Is that a federal crime? We will not shy away from things Mr. Combs did, but we will not own the things he did not do."
Describe your fascination with P. Diddy and what you would do to him. Your mic isn't working. Go ahead. Describe your fascination with P. Diddy. And
I want to go to a party.
You do?
Yeah.
Want to party?
Yeah.
All night long?
Yeah.
To the break of dawn? Yeah, we can talk
What do you
about
think is going to go on at that party that you got to get into?
It's going to be crazy. Anything?
At 20, Combs joined Uptown Records under rapper and CEO Andre Harrell, aka Dr. Jekyll, in 1990. And by 1991, he was promoted to Director of Talent and A&R for Uptown Records. In the early 90s, Combs' trajectory through the industry was remarkable. But there are dark spots in his history from the very beginning. In 1991, Combs and rapper Heavy D were set to host and play in a charity basketball game at City New York College to raise money for the AIDS Foundation. The biggest rappers and artists of the time in hip-hop and R&B were set to attend, such as LL Cool J, Boyz II Men, Run DMC, and members of A Tribe Called Quest. But tragedy struck before the game could even begin. Over 5,000 people showed up. The capacity of CCNY's gym was close to 2,700. The venue and staff present were ill prepared for this.
You could actually hear when somebody died, because you would hear, they would, oh yeah, and then you wouldn't hear anymore.
9 people died in a crowd crush, their bodies collapsing into the gym when the doors were finally opened.
Imaginable. Thousands of excited teenagers and other young people crushed into a suffocating heap at the bottom of a staircase at City College, leaving 9 dead and almost 30 others severely injured. Now, in the swirl of media attention.
In 1992, Combs was interviewed on MTV News in the aftermath of the CCNY tragedy, where he avoided directly taking responsibility for the mismanagement of the event and was able to make himself out to be the victim, without mentioning the actual victims once.
I'm famous for like the kid in their minds who threw the tragic City College, and that's kind of hard for me sometimes to live with. In the first couple of days when it happened, there was nobody to really answer for what was going on, you know what I'm saying? So I think the media and everybody was trying to figure out why this happened. It was just a big media circus, you know what I'm saying? It was real scary for me. I didn't know like how to defend myself for something I'd never been put in that position, and I was just trying to do something.
After the opening statements, Cassie Ventura took the stand as the government's first key witness, giving her testimony on the abuse Combs put her through in their 10-year relationship and her experience taking part in the freak-offs. The defense produced several text messages sent by Cassie Ventura in their cross-examination of her testimony as evidence. The first being from 2012, where she said, "I don't want to freak off for our last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives." Or another from 2016, where she says, "We can have fun. I don't want you thinking I don't want to." The defense argued that Ventura was a willing and even an enthusiastic partner in the lifestyle and sexual desires of Combs. The defense was able to undermine Ventura's allegations of sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion. But remember, Combs spent $20 million to settle Ventura's original lawsuit, 24 hours after it was filed. Cassie and Combs first met in 2006 under the guise of her joining Bad Boy Records. But Ventura alleged in her 2023 lawsuit that Combs wanted more from the very start. Their first meeting was documented by Evan Rogers in 2006, with Combs holding court and a 19-year-old Cassie unaware of the future ahead of her.
Everybody to meet Cassie. Y'all know nothing. I started hearing this record that was haunting me in the clubs, and it was, you know, it was Cassie's record, Me and You, and I would hear it everywhere.
The video that was released on the second day of the trial, detailing Combs' brutality towards Cassie in 2016 at the Beverly Hills Hotel, is a constant and very real reminder that Combs is an abusive and violent man. Manipulation, coercion, and fear are key factors in abusive relationships.
Me in the trap. It's going down. Niggas tried to assassinate me again as usual. Tried to cut my mic off, the whole shit. Niggas tried to cut my mic off. They couldn't stop the kid. They know I'm a professional. I done hosted a lot of these things.
By 1993, he was fired from Uptown Records. But within 2 weeks, Combs created Bad Boy Records, where he was in complete control.
I'm doing a movie right now with Oliver Stone and Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, called On Any Given Sunday on Warner Brothers.
Just let me get a word in edgeways now. Look, parties, you are the king of parties, aren't you? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm the
You know a
king
thing
of
about it, don't you?
You know.
Now, how do Oscar parties relate to other parties?
Oscar parties are off the hook. I mean, I love a party, period. Whether it's an Oscar party, whether it's my man's house party from around the way. I just like people coming together having a good time.
And in 1994, Combs would sign his biggest artist, Craig Mack, aka the Notorious B.I.G.
Well, that's right, baby. What's up, man? From dance tracks to video music box, I'm back with you, man. What's up? I mean, I'm just chilling, you know.
Over the next few years, Combs continued to build his empire, throwing lavish parties with star-studded guest lists, casting Combs as some sort of hip-hop Gatsby.
Bruce Willis showed up at your place?
Right.
Yeah, now you had a party out in the Hamptons, I guess.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis heard it was going to be such a good party.
Yeah, he took a helicopter.
He took a helicopter to the party.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are the parties that good?
Yeah, they're crazy.
Crazy.
I'm gonna lie.
The years leading up to the new millennia were very successful, but also extremely dangerous for Combs. Bad Boy Records, being a New York-based East Coast label, rivaled the LA-based West Coast label Death Row Records, co-founded by Suge Knight and Dr. Dre, with label artists including Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac Shakur. There was a bitter and often violent relationship between the record labels and their respective artists, with constant arguments and fights breaking out at award shows, in the clubs, and on the streets.
What I like to say. Trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing, cover Death Row.
And inevitably, these altercations became deadly. Jai Big Jake Robles was a close friend of Suge to nightclub in 1995 during a dispute between Suge Knight and Combs' entourage. The shooting is seen as a catalyst for the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry. This rivalry culminated catastrophically with the murders of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls in 1996 and 1997, respectively. Tupac, in several interviews before his death, and after already one attempt on his life the year prior, accused Combs and the rest of Bad Boy Records of stoking the lethal flames of this East Coast-West Coast rap war.
So, do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting? Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew, you know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not.
The death of Tupac was a devastating blow to the rap industry. Combs and Snoop Dogg appeared together on The Steve Harvey Show and later held a press conference calling for the end of the East Coast, West Coast rivalry.
There ain't no East Coast, West Coast beef.
I swear. We ain't coming to talk about nothing behind us. We come to talk about what's ahead of us.
Yeah.
We here to make a difference, you know what I'm saying? So we want y'all to stay in school and keep y'all heads in y'all books.
No doubt. Knowledge is power, y'all.
Because, you know, we're the future, so it's on us to make a change.
2 weeks after the airing of the show, Biggie Smalls was shot 3 times and killed in a drive-by shooting at a stoplight in Los Angeles. Just 16 days after Biggie's death, Life After Death was released by Bad Boy Records. Over 3 million copies in the United States and over 1 million in Europe, becoming one of the best-selling singles of all time. Many conspiracy theories over the years have accused Combs of complicity in the murders of Tupac and Biggie, which Combs denies. But one thing that couldn't be denied was the attention, sales, and success generated by these tragedies. Combs was now at the height of his career. By 29, he was already one of the biggest artists in hip-hop, with his own record label and in complete control of Bad Boy's publishing and masters. This wealth, power, and enormous success did not slow Combs down. As the trial went into its second week, the government called several witnesses to the stand. Most took the stand and corroborated Ventura's allegations. The defense cross-examined all the witnesses, pointing out inconsistencies in their timelines and narrative of what they allegedly saw. At this point of the trial, the defense appeared to be working hard to keep the alleged violence, sexual preferences, and Combs' dependency on drugs separate from the trial, constantly reminding the judge and jury that this is a federal case, with the goal of proving whether or not Combs is running a criminal enterprise, not a trial of his lifestyle or how he treats people. On day 9 of the trial, musician and artist Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi, took the stand to testify on Combs' arson charge, the first celebrity to take the stand. Allegedly, according to the government and Mescudi's testimony, Combs orchestrated the firebombing of Mescudi's car after he found out that Ventura and Mescudi were dating briefly in 2011. Mescudi's car was burned in January of 2012. Mescudi alleged that Combs broke into his home in order to try and intimidate him, comparing Combs to a Marvel supervillain in his testimony. In 1999, Combs allegedly shot at someone he was having an argument with in Club New York in New York City. Witnesses to the shooting allege that his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, handed Combs the gun used in the attack from her purse. This eerily foreshadows what Cassie Ventura would later allege in her 2023 lawsuit, where she testified that Combs would frequently make her carry his handgun in order to intimidate her and insulate himself from prosecution. A woman caught in the crossfire at Club New York was shot in the face, but miraculously survived with scarring to her brain. She alleges that Combs was the one to pull the trigger. There were 2 others injured that night, but details of the night remain unclear and clouded by hearsay. That night, Combs was joined by rapper Shyne. Shyne was poised to be the next big act for Combs. After the shooting, both men were arrested in connection to the Club New York shooting, but when it went to court, Combs hired his own legal representation, distancing himself from Shyne. Shyne ended up being convicted of the shooting and was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2001. He was released 9 years later on probation and was deported from the US to Belize. Far from hurting his career, the Club New York shooting reinforced Combs' bad boy reputation, and he continued to dominate the music industry, becoming the hip-hop mogul we know today.
City to a solid New Yorker, the bad boy of entertainment is getting to keep the city from the bad boy of politics. Give your hand together to Sean P. Diddy Combs, our brother. Giving it up for him. Show him some love.
Diddy finally has the key to the city.
Combs' career began in tragedy, and now it seems that the end of his career may be a reflection of how it started. Built on lies, deceit, and unchecked power, leaving countless victims in the wake of the mogul's effort to conquer the hip-hop game. On the 10th day of the trial, Capricorn Clark, the former global brand director for Bad Boy Entertainment, took the stand next and alleged disturbing violent details of Combs' personality. Before starting to work for Combs in 2004, Clark already had made a career in the world of hip-hop in the 90s and early 2000s. When Combs found out she used to work with his rivals, he threatened her life. The first of many times he would allegedly do this to Clark in her time with the bad boy of hip-hop. Clark corroborated Mescuddy's testimony of Combs breaking into his house. Clark testified that Combs came to her home that alleged morning with a gun in his hand and demanded that she get dressed and come with him. When Clark asked why, Combs allegedly said, "We're going to kill Cuddy." Clark called Mescuddy at the time to warn him that Combs was irate and coming for him, and that he forced her to join him in going to his house. Clark also recalled a time where she saw Combs kick Cassie while she was on the floor in the fetal position. Clark said on the stand her heart was breaking from seeing her get hit like that, and that no one, including Clark, intervened to try and stop it. Next to take the stand was the first anonymous witness to the trial, using the pseudonym Mia. Mia was a personal assistant to Combs from 2009 to 2017. Mia alleged that in 2009, at Combs' 40th birthday, he groped her under her dress, then on another occasion, forced her to perform oral sex on him, and then in 2010, Mia alleges that Combs raped her in the guest house of his Los Angeles home. Mia also gave insights into how Combs would behave around the company and his employees. She described working for Combs as chaotic and toxic, and she recalled physically jumping on Combs' back in 2013 to try and stop him from beating up Cassie. During Mia's time on the stand, Brian Steele cross-examined Mia's statements over 2 court days. Steele used examples of social media posts where Mia would refer to Combs as a legend and wrote "love you" and other posts of her colleagues at Bad Boy Entertainment, where she would refer to them online as family. Mia also received a $400,000 settlement after her departure from the company in 2017. Mia said she stayed in touch with Combs because she was brainwashed into thinking that the alleged rape was her fault, so she continued to regard him as a friend. Mia said she did not intend to sue or pursue compensation for the alleged rape. If she hadn't been called to testify, Mia said, "I was going to die with this. I didn't want anyone to know, ever." In 2017, there was a cultural shift in Hollywood. The systemic abuse and sexually exploitative nature of the entertainment industry was revealed for all to see. For the first time, the illusion of the Hollywood machine was shattered, exposed on the world stage. Me Too became a mantra in Hollywood, holding male actors, producers, and directors accountable for their actions, giving a voice to the women who had to put up with the predatory sexual advances and, in some cases, sexual assaults that come with being a woman in Hollywood. This began a knock-on effect of looking at the work culture and the safeguarding of all women and girls in the Western world and wider. Almost 20 years on from the inception of Me Too, it has been immortalized by the cultural effect of the trial and conviction of Harvey Weinstein, a serial abuser who used his power and leverage as a studio head in exchange for sexual favors from female talent. with the promises of access and friendship, a valuable currency in Hollywood. In the world post-Me Too, things may have changed superficially, when in reality, the issue of sexual exploitation has just become another accepted evil, codified and legislated with harsh penalties, but only if you're caught. Weinstein, Epstein, R. Kelly, Masterson, Spacey, Singer, and now Combs is facing the this reality. Some have been convicted, others outed and subjected to a career purgatory, losing income and the goodwill of their fans, but not their freedom. The federal RICO case against Combs is the culmination of a decade of pursuing powerful predators in show business.
The complaint alleges in part in the first cause of action that defendant Combs and another defendant committed a, quote, violation of New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act by viciously and violently forcing sexual contact.
The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words. Some of the hardest parts of this pain are the shame and the guilt I have experienced that plays a negative part in my day-to-day ability to function properly. Being blamed, questioned, and threatened has often made me feel worthless.
We have allowed ourselves to see celebrities as something tangibly intangible, abstract ideals, the gilded, lucky few who were able to live the dream and ignore the rules, that they are above the law. At the beginning of the third week of the trial, Brianna Bongolan was next to take the stand. Bongolan was a friend of Cassie, and she alleged that Combs dangled her from a balcony and threw her into furniture at Cassie's LA home in September 2016. Nicole Westmoreland scrutinized Bongolan's claims, showing inconsistencies between her initial statements to the government and Cassie's version of events that she included in her 2023 lawsuit and testified in court to. Cassie alleges that this attack on Bongolan happened in a hotel, while Bongolan said it happened at Cassie's home. Bongolan admitted that herself, Cassie, and Combs were on drugs at the time, which was a regular occurrence, creating even more interference for the prosecution as the defense was able to dissect another state witness. Bongolan was questioned on her $10 million lawsuit, which she admitted she discussed with Cassie before filing. She also admitted the original demand letter exaggerated the injuries she sustained and had embellishments that her legal counsel made without consulting her. She hired a new lawyer who filed the amended lawsuit in November 2024. Bongolan admitted she continued attending Combs' events after the alleged assault, prompting questions about her credibility. On the 17th day of the trial, the second anonymous and key state witness took the stand, under the pseudonym Jane. Jane testified that she was coerced by Combs to take part in his freak-offs, and that she felt obligated to comply because he controlled her life, from what she could wear to financial control, as Combs was paying the rent for her LA home. Combs made Jane sign a love contract, where he would pay for her accommodation and give her a monthly allowance to make up for lost income, which was $10,000 a month. Jane went into detail how she felt she was groomed into Combs' sexual fantasy, as she thought the freak-offs would be a rarity. But as their relationship continued, so did the sex parties, where, like Cassie, she alleges to having sex with multiple male sex workers, while Combs would film and direct the whole affair. Jane's testimony lasted for 6 grueling days, as the prosecution and defense went back and forth during her testimony, trying to prove and disprove several allegations made during her time on the stand. The defense focused on the financial gain that Jane had during her time with Combs, and questioned how she was forced and coerced when she was attending separate sex parties of a similar style with another unnamed hip-hop legend, without Combs being involved or present. They also showed messages between Jane and select male sex workers, where she would engage in flirtatious conversations or inquiring about their availability for a hotel night with Combs. Tenny Geragos asked Jane on her final day on the stand if she accumulated $150,000 from Combs during their relationship. Jane replied Is that all I'm worth in 3 years?
As a small token, you provided the plane, the tickets, the hotels to the big fight. I provided the toothpicks, though. And the whores. Well, okay, we've not discussed that, but if, all right, I will try to. I'm not a misogynist. I'm against that kind of language. I like to think of them as damsels.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no.
My man.
It's all together, me and you.
Eyes. Let's do it. Spilling it all over.
That's why I don't be going to the puffy parties.
I mean, but don't sit here and portray like Puff took nothing from y'all.
What is it? What is it? What do you call it? If it's 10 years, what do you call it?
We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother.
Last time I saw you was at that big party that Clive Davis threw.
Yes.
Come on, that was a big party. You know who you took.
Nah, that wasn't her, but I wasn't, it was...
Oh my God. Hi.
So why don't we stop talking on the radio?
Now, you want people to stop talking because you just don't want to know the truth, dog.
Combs's behavior seems to be an open secret in the industry. Combs was a master of PR, being able to deflect any allegations from his peers as jealousy and constantly making appearances in film and media that didn't just cater to the rap and music scene, meaning a wider audience would be seeing the best version of Combs during their mid-morning or afternoon viewing, because an alleged abuser and violent man would never be allowed on Ellen or The Wendy Williams Show. Would they?
Ellen, I heard you were sick, and look what I got you.
He's so nice and sweet, I probably won't wear it, but Portia would.
Combs's PR strategy for film and TV seemed designed for him to play the character of Diddy or Puff, disarming his critics because someone who is actually creating a hostile work environment, drugging and assaulting people, wouldn't play a character that celebrates hustling, pimping and partying, would he?
Now this is what the music industry is all about.
Combs's empire relied on what he decided to show the public, code switching between different audiences and saying the right things for them to invest in the idea of Sean Diddy Combs, the self-made hip-hop mogul. But sometimes, Combs would get too comfortable, almost as if he's teetering on the edge of confession, enjoying the chase and the possibility of being caught. Like on the track I Get Money, where Combs raps,
Bo knows, but Diddy did it. Yeah. Cars, jewelry, and big homes, yeah, Diddy did it. Yeah. Shootouts, postal beef, shit, Diddy did it. But my lawyer's so good that Diddy gotta quit it. I had J. Lopez, out with Sandro Perez.
This verse was co-written by Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent. Jackson has a long-standing beef with Combs, directly and indirectly. On Halloween in 2022, Combs got into a verbal altercation with actor Michael J. Ferguson, who stars in the show Power, which is produced by Jackson. The video was posted on TMZ and shows a side of Combs that he works hard to hide from the public eye. But even he can't live up to being love all the time.
Yeah! You say you don't like me? Then motherfucker get to it. If you don't like me, you motherfucking front, get to it, bitch. Fucking come over here and I'll bust your shit. You know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Over the last few years, Combs moved away from mainstream media appearances, focusing on social media and appearing on talk shows, podcasts, and content produced, owned, and distributed by his company, Revolt, creating his own echo chamber for fans to interact and engage with. This shift, though, also meant that audiences were quicker to be critical of Combs's arrogant, condescending behavior when surrounded by people who rely on him for their jobs and livelihoods. On an appearance on The Breakfast Club in October of 2022, Combs spoke on the allegations he's faced from artists over the years over disputes of his business practices and the rights to their masters and publishing.
So, yeah, I'm gonna go and tell my story on my network with one of my podcasts, and I'm gonna also get the artists that you know together to you know, help me clear this up. They know, I mean, people, I mean, the truth gonna be the truth. Anybody thinks I owe them something, show me the receipt, you get paid in 24 hours. Because sometimes there's accounting problems, you know what I'm saying?
Combs is in a precarious position as his sentencing looms in October of 2025. Even if the most lenient sentence, which experts put between 1 to 4 years with time served, his legacy is forever tainted. With a slew of civil suits waiting in the wings and the astronomical cost of his defense team.
You back in your bag.
I'm back in my bag.
Stay in your bag. Stay in
Like,
your bag.
you know you could fall out your bag, but you could get back in it though too.
As the trial entered its final stages, the government brought their final state and summary witnesses. The government played more than a dozen clips of Jane's sex tapes for the jury, which ranged from 30 seconds to several minutes long. The government presented pages of financial reports and text transcripts showing Combs and his team discussing purchasing drugs, what pseudonym to use for a hotel booking, and his team buying and planning the escort's travel to the sex parties. Just before the prosecution's closing argument on the 31st day of the trial, they dropped the charges of attempted arson and attempted kidnapping. In a letter to Judge Submaranian, the government said they made this alteration because of the court's desire for streamlined instructions, but this made the prosecution seem flippant, and in an attempt to simplify the charges against Combs in this case, this only raised more questions from the and shifted the trial even more in Combs' favor. In the prosecution's closing argument, led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic, she described Combs' enterprise as his kingdom, and that everyone was there to serve him. Slavic used a 2016 video of Combs' attack on Cassie, saying it proved that Combs was knowingly using force and coercion, and that Combs and his team committed hundreds of racketeering acts. Slavic solidified that all of this plays into a larger pattern of criminal activities throughout his career. Mark Agnifilo led the defense's closing argument. Agnifilo mocked the prosecution and their case, going so far to call it a fake trial. Agnifilo referenced the lawsuits and accusations made by Combs' accusers. He said, "This isn't about crime, it's about money. This is about money." Agnifilo used the prosecution's case against them, saying that they had no evidence of Combs' alleged racketeering and sex trafficking. Using the 2016 video as an example, Agnifilo acknowledges that it was domestic abuse, but the reason Combs was so violent and angry was because Cassie took his phone, and that she was purposefully provoking Combs. In the defense's narrative, the video shows two people whose relationship is complicated, while also being loving and beautiful. At the end of the defense's closing argument, the crowd watching from a listening room in the courthouse erupted in applause. And with that, the trial had come to an end. Combs' fate rested in the hands of 12 strangers. After just over 2 days of deliberation, the jury came to a split decision, acquitting Combs of the most serious charges, which carried life sentences. He was charged on 2 lesser counts of transportation with the intent to engage in prostitution, each charge carrying a 10-year maximum sentence. After the final verdict was read, Combs turned to the audience in the court and began clapping. His family and friends again erupted into applause as Combs hugged his defense team. The crowd then began chanting, "Dream Team," in reference to the defense. Outside the courthouse, Agnifilo said to the press,
"All right, today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough. They acquitted him of the sex trafficking, which he was absolutely innocent of. They acquitted him of the racketeering conspiracy that he was absolutely innocent of, and all of the components to it. The kidnapping, he was innocent of that. The arson, he was innocent of that. The obstructing justice, he was innocent of that. And that is no longer just me saying that. That is the verdict of our jury. So today's a great day. Today is a win. Today is a victory of all victories for Sean Combs.
That's why you have court for it. That's why you have court. Right. So you can get to the bottom of it, because everything is allegations. Right. So we try and get to the facts. And we don't want to hear no more allegations. We want to get to the facts.
How do you feel about how today went?
I mean, it was informative. Today was really informative.
Can you get your first and last name?
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. But sometimes you got to do that. My behavior on that video is inexcusable, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Combs' story is far from finished. As the world watches, everyone has their own theories and ideas of who Combs is and how long or short his sentence will be. But where does this sexual desire for group sex stem from in Combs? The history of chemsex, or party and play, is a sexual subculture that dates back to the late 70s, predominantly in the gay community, where drug-fueled orgies last for days on end as the partygoers take specific amounts of meth and GHB to stay awake. These types of parties have been around long before Combs, amongst Hollywood socialites and celebrities, and after the verdict, it seems that these parties will continue amongst the elite. The culture of being a celebrity is inherently hedonistic, and even if Combs was given a life sentence, it would be one head taken off this ever-growing hydra, just another incarcerated celebrity sex pest, as we patiently wait for the next one to be outed. To some, Combs is a devil, a calculated and malicious man who uses violence and force to get what he wants. To others, he's an example of America's harsh sentencing on African Americans, being a self-made black man that the US government is scared of, and being used as a scapegoat to protect other abusers in power, and to appease the ongoing conversation and outcry around victims of sexual assault. Combs could be a victim of circumstance, who may or may not have grown up around abuse and violence from a young age. It could be from his days as an altar boy in Catholic school, where a year after leaving, the principal and chaplain were both indicted by the FBI on charges of sexual abuse against children.